It's a beautiful scene, one Belizeans have come to know and love. It is captured by many photographs, paintings, and even Google Earth satellites record this unique accumulation of Belizean sailboats at rest on the Belize River at the foot of the historic Belize City swing bridge. But behind this scene and many other scenic images like it across the country, there is a story to tell. Even 1,000 stories. Stories never yet told in quite this visual way. It is a story of the Belizean fisherfolk, as told by them, their life, their love, their hardships, and their outlook for the future. There is no busier day than the one just before the opening of conch season. The normal hustle and bustle of Albert Street is increased substantially on these days as fishermen scramble to make the necessary preparations for 8 to 10 days out at sea. These boats each carry between 5 and 10 men, most of them young, who will work this entire conch season, and the boat will be their home, their bed, their kitchen for the duration of the trip. Today, the men will buy everything they need, from the ice they will need to keep their catch fresh for their cooperatives, to their food and toiletries they will need for the trip. As the captain readies his boat for the first trip of the conch season, the other men sit around making small talk, grabbing a drink or a bite to eat, saying goodbyes to their significant other. The next 10 days will be work from sunrise to sunset. Interestingly, most of the boats you see moored here are owned and operated by fisherfolk from the north. These are mostly men from Sarteneja, Copperbank, Chunush, and even Progreso, who use these kinds of boats for fishing and diving. They moor their boats in Belize City because it is more economically feasible for them to catch a bus to and from their village in the north than to sail their boats to and from Corozal on each trip. Their primary fishing grounds are the Turnef and Lighthouse Reef atolls, and it is a much shorter trip for them to sail directly to and from Belize City, where the major cooperatives have their main headquarters. When the sailboats are completely loaded with supplies, the men pull anchor and set sail for the Turnef atolls. It's the 31st of September, and when the calendar hits 1st of October, the men will already be at sea, ready to grab what they hope will be the biggest catch of the season. Across town, Belize City fisherman Dale Fairweather is making his own preparations for his fishing trip.
I have been a fisherman from when I left high school, and that's like 34 years ago. I got into fishing because I really love the sea and I love fishing. There used to be abundance of product in those days. My dad take us to live in Placencia when we were kids, and that's in Placencia we learn about fishing. After I came out of high school, a friend took me to Turnef to dive. The water was very shallow and there was a lot of lobsters, and I decided to stay in Belize City because down south in Placencia you have to dive a lot of deep areas to get the same lobster, and it was so easy at Turnef at that time.
His boat is nowhere near the swing bridge. It's a bit too big. He lives in Belama Phase 2 and nowhere close to the sea. Yet, he is able to park his 40-foot boat right in his own backyard.
What really brought me to this boat is because to survive off of lobster and conchs as the two main commercial species is getting harder and harder every year to make a decent living off of those products. So that's what pushed me in to try and get this boat to diversify and go into a new type of fishing.
He can do this because of the intricate canal system which exists in Belize City. It is a separate transport system from the roads, and Dale, like other Belize City fishermen, is a regular user. His preparation also takes place from the day before his trip out to the deep blue sea.
So every trip I go down to the market to get my provision, and then I go to the co-op and get my ice and load it into the boat, and then the next morning I head out to sea.
Like most fishermen today, Captain Fairweather does not fish alone. He also has a crew of 2. But you would not know that with the detailed shopping list and the numerous stops he has to make in different parts of the city. This is why he takes a smaller boat with a small engine through the canal to go shopping.
If you have gas engines, you need to burn a lot of fuel to move around. You move at a higher rate of speed, but you also consume a lot more fuel. With diesel engines, you burn less fuel, but if you need a lot of speed, you need big diesel engines. With my boat, I have small diesel engines so that they don't consume a lot of fuel and you don't move at a high rate of speed, but it makes it viable so that you can fish, because if your fuel cost is low, then you can make a profit fairly easy.
His first stop is to one of several gas stations that has a dock just for boats. Here he picks up fuel he will need for the trip. Then it's off to the butane company to fill his tank for cooking purposes. Here too, and even at his next stop where he will pick up groceries, the businesses have docks where he can load his boat. Fishermen are out on the sea for days. They also want the regular foods that Belizeans love to eat.
And I would buy my flour, my rice, whatever I need to take out. Usually I take it out for like 12 days. I'll get food for 12, maybe to 2 weeks, because you never know weather or whatever. Then I would go out to the quay for that amount of days.
The largest part of Dale's purchase, besides fuel, will be ice. Bags and bags of it. Like the sailboat fishermen, ice can determine the length of the trip, as well as the trip's success or failure. Fishermen get their ice from the cooperatives, who manage large ice production facilities, as ice is what keeps the catch, be it conch, lobster or finfish, in the best possible condition for the local and international market. Ice, because it melts so easily, is the last purchase of the day, but the first of the goods to be offloaded and then packed and stored in this large cooler. Everything is stored in its proper place. There is no room for error, as the seas can be very unforgiving. Early the following morning, at 6 a.m., Dale unties his boat, gets behind the steering wheel, turns on his engine, and he and his 2 crewmen begin the 4-hour journey which will take them out to the open seas and the Turnef atolls. Just a few hundred feet from the New Chetumal Bridge, the boat makes a sharp right turn and heads directly south-southeast through the Burton Canal. Because of the size of his boat, purchased specifically to cater for deep-sea fishing, Dale must use this route to the sea. It takes an hour at his boat's pace, but what a beautiful view it is. And it gets even better as the sun comes up over the horizon. The Burton Canal, built many years ago, connects the Belize River to the Siboon River. The crew uses this part of the journey as an opportunity to prepare the deep sea rods, secure them to the boat, and prepare the hooks and sinkers for the catch ahead. Before long, the boat reaches the Siboon River, turns left, and slowly exits the mouth of the river, and as the boat heads out, the fishermen pass the main symbols of Belize's new economic boom, cruise tourism. While many fishermen have given up their occupation to instead ferry tourists from the cruise ships to the mainland, or to one of the many offshore destinations such as Goff's Key and the Reef. Many others remain committed to this independent means of making a living. Man against the sea. Dale prefers instead to cast his net in deeper waters where he says fish are in abundance. Just before Dale hits the blue, which is the body of water between the Belize Barrier Reef and Turner, he takes a short detour to look for bait. This is a normal first day activity for the fisherfolk who want to catch finfish. Catching bait is an art by itself, and for men like Dale, there are good days and bad days. Most Belize City fishermen seek their bait off mangrove keys such as Spanish Bay and Water Key. Mangroves provide excellent nutrients for fishes such as the coveted sprats. Sprat makes for excellent bait because not only are they small, but they have a silvery sheen that catches the attention of larger fish. Dale's search for bait at Spanish Creek is futile, so he heads to Water Key.
Over at Water Key, that used to be a place where bait was plentiful. But since they put a resort there, they don't want you to come and catch bait around their dock, so they put up some buoys with some ropes, so, you know, to keep you out from in the area by the docks.
Dale eventually finds bait at Water Key, but not before stopping at a fishing camp belonging to another Belize City fisherman, Patrick Oliver.
Buy the bait then, boy.
Why you look for the bait by Spanish bait?
I got that, I'll find none.
In a deep point pool, right on the grass there over by the left hand side.
After catching bait, he pulls anchor and heads out across the blue to Turnef, where he has his camp. Patrick has been fishing for many years. He fishes these areas in and around Water Key for a living.
My uncle was a fisherman, and I was going to school. And at that time, when I go on holiday, my uncle had give me a call and said, "Come over so we can go to sea." So when I come over, when I was young, then I get to like the sea. Then I begin to do my little fishing, my diving, and that's the way how I become a fisherman. When I already stopped with my uncle, I went and worked with one of my another family. And then from there, I began to work till I put up some money. Then I started to build my own traps. Then from there, I started to see result, getting much more money because I become a member for national. Then afterwards, I stopped working with my family. Then I get my own equipment, my boat, my machine, my camp. Then from there, I work on my own then.
Patrick fishes from Monday to Thursday most weeks, along with his wife and one other worker.
Thanks to God, I get to have my house. I get to raise my kids, send them to school. Then I get to get married with the same money I make in sea. Then I get to have my family now. I live happy. My wife was in the market when I was selling my product, my fishes. Then my wife was scraping fish eventually. Then eventually we get to know each other. And we just, you start to talk up to her. And then she said, well, she want to work for me in a sense that, I got kids, so she want to babysit for me. But after that, we get to entangle, get to like each other. And from there, we started courting, and from there we get married. And then so she said she know to fishing. I didn't know she's serious, but she got a license, and from there she showed me. So I tell her, well, nothing to hold you back. Now you can go and fishing with me.
I love it because out there, quiet, peaceful, the breeze, you watch my nature, So that's why I love it. I just enjoy pulling the fish there, and the most excited part what I love about it that when you get one big pick and then you're pulling and you're excited to say where you're pulling.
For several years now, he has maintained his fishing camp for himself and by extension for other stranded fishermen who need a place to stay during a storm or those who need to spend the night.
My husband have a camp. That's the best part. My husband got a camp.
And my camp is on top of the water. It's like an aquarium, so you can just throw your line, catch your fresh fish, fry it, and just the basic thing. So you can go now, don't go half it, they don't.
Don't tire it. This time I can't pan out.
It's good to have a camp, because the camp, when it's bad weather, you can reach there and just relax until the weather passes, then you go right back and work, catch your fishes, and you can sleep comfortable at night. You don't have to worry about nothing going to happen to you, because you're safe in your camp. Before I had a camp, I used to sleep in the boat and punish. You get cold, you get achy, because you're sleeping in a boat. When I wake up, I do my necessary thing at the morning, brush your teeth, go to the restroom. Then from there, we start to cook. When you finish, and when you don't finish cook, you just start to hit your journey to where you're going, to fishing.
Catching bait with Patrick was as easy as 1, 2, 3. Or maybe it was just that Fisherman's luck was on his side today.
The net is a small little mesh. They have that to catch the sardine. And anytime you see the sardine running, you just gotta know to throw the net so you can catch the sardine.
The sprat sometimes makes small jumps out of the water. It looks and even sounds like drops of rain.
You got what I call the shine sprat, and then you got what I call the good sprat, and the king sprat, and then the shine sprat got like a bitter taste.
I catch about 3 buckets of sprat. That lasts me for the whole trip.
Patrick spends his days doing an assortment of fishing activities. He sometimes tows for barracuda, a Belizean delicacy known locally as barrow. The barracuda is itself a hunter of the sea and spends much of its time in comparatively shallow waters looking for prey. To catch a barrow, Patrick dons what he calls finger condoms. The fight to pull in a big one can get nasty, and the line which Patrick drops into the water with a bait at the end can cut his fingers in his fight to bring in a big barracuda.
You always got a hook with a piece of wire and a swivel. Then you tie it on the line. And when you tie it on the line, you set a sprat on the hook and you release it in the water. And at the same time the boat is moving, the barrow see the sprat glittering in the water, and eventually he grabbed it. You don't pull at the same time he grabbed the sprat. You release a little bit of line. Then from there, when you see you release some line and you see you already have it more or less about 3 yards, I would say, you just pull it as hard as you could, and from there you catch the barrow. That is the art how you do it.
Patrick may move from one fishing technique to another, just as often as he may move from one fishing location to another. Other times, he drops his line in specific areas inside the reef where he catches snapper, jacks, and several other species which are sold on the local market in Belize City. Fishes move on the tide, and so Patrick and his team spend their days and many nights fishing their favorite spots and filling their ice chests with fish. Patrick has a 20-foot skiff, and so his trips in the blue are to very specific locations, and once storms roll in, or when squalls, which are far more unpredictable, roll in, they rush back to camp to weather the storm.
This is our occupation now. They will just have to face it out. They know sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. If the weather is bad, well then that will probably be kind of difficult, because we have to go from patch to patch, patch to patch. I experience with my husband, sometimes we got like 1, 5, 6 patch and nothing. And you know that really rough, and then that at the time when you know you really have to juggle hard.
Sometimes you got some hard weather out there, blowing so hard that the wave is so hard that the water enter into the boat. So we got to try to take the time to make it at the shelter we have, the camp, because it's more safety for us.
When you really got that joy, that when weather good, if you got good tiding, if you got good current, if you got good weather, and the fish they bite, because then that the main took. Sometimes you know what eat, sometimes it depends on the bait. But if you got the good sprat and you got the good weather, the current is right, and fish they bite, man, nothing no happy on that, because then you, that joy, because then you don't know when you come in. Everything you sell out.
Patrick says he used to fish many different types of marine products, but today he sticks only to finfish for the local market. After several days of fishing, Patrick returns with his catch to Belize City, the latest on Friday evening. He travels up the main waterway and turns left at the canal, which leads to the Conch Shell Bay Market.
The only thing I do fishing. Fishing is the way I have to live my life to please God. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything they do out there. I live my way just to please Him, and that's why I thank Him. I got like that. That saved me more money so I can have for my family.
The atmosphere at Conch Shell Bay Fish Market is highly energized and business is brisk. Many of Patrick's regular clients are already waiting to get fresh fish.
When I come from sea, I come straight in, go straight to the market, and from the market I got my customers that they buy my fish when I arrive.
Some of the young men who work at the market buy fish from the fishermen wholesale and then resell them to their own clients who stop to buy fish at Conch Shell Bay.
Sometimes we just got some, like we got some more and we got to sell it to another customers that come by and buy the fish from us. And when they buy the fish from us, sometimes we take about till 5 the evening to get done what we have.
For fisher folk like Patrick, having a local market to make direct contact with clients puts money into his pockets immediately after a few days at sea. Markets are found in all municipalities across Belize, but not all fishermen are from Belize City and the towns. Norman Castillo, better known as Strings, operates out of Hopkins Village in the Stank Creek district.
Hopkins being a coastal community, we grew up here. Ever since you saw it's only fish to see or people going farming. So the love for the sea is there from the time you ever see the waters. We live mainly with our aunt, and the entire family used to live out at Southwater Key. From there, hence, I decided to do fishing. From there, I used to left from there, go to Belize City. Every holidays, weekends, you come and you go do fish at Southwater Key. After I decided to come back fishing, my brother and I used to do mainly fishing together. Now he's on his own, I'm on my own. So through the assistance of him and getting other loans from other departments, DFCs, to purchase a boat, an engine, and that's the reason now I'm on my foot now doing my own thing.
He and his brothers fish the waters of the south, primarily in the Twins Key Range, locally known as Cockney Range, as well as Glover's Reef.
Out here, down here by Southwater Key, which is a Cockney Range where we have a fishing camp owned by myself and my brother. When I go to Glover's Reef, I stayed at a resort by the name of Lemont Resort. I usually ask for request to stay there, and I'm always welcomed by these people at that area there. So I'm well comfortable staying at Glover's Reef.
Hopkins Village is a beautiful seaside Garifuna community. Over the past few years, tourist resorts have popped up on the northern and southern ends of the village. Some residents are trying to find ways to participate in this lucrative industry. But for Norman Strings Castillo, he continues in his family's long tradition of fishing for conch, lobster, and finfish. And since conch season is still open, he is making the most of it.
I have a 3-member crew, so at all time you have to make sure that you work hard so you can make that money, to split that money around. And you mentioned to your guys the day before that we're leaving certain time to go out there.
Like other Belizean fishermen, Strings buys ice and fuel the day before his trip. He places them in his vehicle and takes them to his boat, Mary. There is no dock here. Mary sits on the beach. Just a push will get her into the water. Early the following morning, the guys cast off from the beach and set out to fish for the day. The sea is as still as a mirror as the boat slices its way through the slothful water and heads south. In the background, one can see the rustic beauty of the village. No need to explain why tourists love it here. Surely, they will pay a pretty penny to enjoy and partake in such breathtaking views. But for the fishermen like Strings, it's all a part of the job. Well, not quite. Strings sits on the bow of his boat like a king on his throne. He takes in the view with a look of satisfaction and contentment on his face. This is the life, the good life. And even as the boat approaches the family fishing camp, without a doubt, it is a dwelling fit for a king, at least in the eyes of a fisherman. Fishermen are proud of their fishing camps. They are built on small islands or over the sea in a shallow area.
This island is called Twin Keys. This is where camp is. We have been living here for about 32 years. The way we come about developing this island is that we used to haul material from the mainland, away from Hopkins to this area here, get sands, get some rocks so we can fill the island.
Strings Fishing Camp is like a scene right out of a movie. The houses are built facing the open sea. There is always a watchman, a dog or two, and plenty of containers to store fish and the much coveted rainwater. Fishing camps are surrounded by water, salt water, but fresh drinking water is hard to come by, so you will always find many drums and water catchment areas at a fishing camp.
Most of the fishermen in Hopkins come and camp here, so it's open for them to use our facilities, and without doing any kind of payment or anything, but they are just allowed to clean up after they left the island.
The Castillo family tried to fortify their small island by dumping the empty conch shells from their catch as landfill. The shells are held in place with a retainer wall made from coconut trunks and pimenta sticks.
Our conch shell that we now have on this island is that after we dive, we don't throw away the conch shell, we fill it, we keep on fill the island with the conch shell that we caught from the seas out there. Before this time now, there was mangroves right around this island here, but during hurricane, I think it was Iris, that most of the mangrove was uprooted and left the island. So this is the island now, that is it.
Fishing camps are a far more comfortable way to spend the night as compared to sleeping in the boat. There is a kitchen, and the camp even has separate rooms as well as an outhouse. It is a home away from home. Since a fishing trip may last for many days, each day ends here at camp and not back in Hopkins. This camp is in close proximity to the fishing grounds, so there is less money spent on fuel.
We do fishing right around our camp here. We go by Round Key. That's only about a mile and a half from here. Peter Douglas is about the same thing. We have saltwater key at the marine that is reserved now, so we are not allowed to dive there anymore. But our shades and chops are basically right around us here. Seasonal fish, we get snappers, grunts, all kind of fish. But our main catch is lobsters and conchs.
From here, the men head out to do some conch diving for the day. They look for traditional landmarks on the mainland and triangulate them with the small islands nearby to find their diving area. Once there, they pull anchor, don their equipment for the dive, and begin their work for the day.
We basically just have the diving fins, the mask, we use our hook sticks and spare.
One man stays with the boat, while Strings and his co-worker dive the area. The goggles help them to see the conch at rest on the seabed. Strings combs the area, swimming back and forth with his face down in the water, and when he sights a conch that is mature enough, he dives down and gets it. He keeps it with him and keeps diving until his hand is full. Then he makes his way to the boat and throws them in. They drift farther and farther from the boat as they continue to comb the area. Strings gathers a small heap of conch and then calls the boat to come near. He then brings up that small stack of conch he has gathered and then heads out again. Waiting on the boat is no idle matter. This person guards the boat and ensures that the men are safe as they dive. But it is also an opportunity to do some line fishing while the other men gather conch. His job is to also break open the conch shell and secure the lucrative meat, which will be sold to a cooperative branch in Independence. The skill of getting the conch out of the shell is undeniable. The shell is broken at a precise location that leaves the shell almost intact. The men dive the entire area through the day. It is a slow and meticulous process, but one that produces a great yield of conch. The excellent weather and the clean, clear water makes the conch easy to spot, but more importantly, the good weather makes the conch come out to bottom feed. If the weather was poor, the conch would hide by burying themselves in the sand, making it next to impossible for the divers to spot them. After a full day of diving and fishing, the men head back in towards the shore. Meanwhile, out at Turniff, the conch season is not treating the fisherfolk from the north with the same good fortune. Marcio Gonzalez hails from the village of Chunush in the Corozal district.
I started diving around the age of 14 because when I come out from school, from primary, primary is standard 6, right? I come out and I begin cooking. That was my job. Afterwards, 1 year, I then began to dive. 14 years. Right now, I got like 13 years being in the sea.
He has been fishing Turniff for many years. On this particular trip out, Captain Marcio has brought out 4 co-workers with him.
I only have 4 fishermen because not everybody want to come out because they're doing something more else and only job in the village. And 8 days, the most we make. 9 days, the most we make. 10 fishermen, you get a good amount, a big amount of product for the boat. But now 4 persons or 4 fishermen, you get less. Yeah, it's less catch for the boat. Yeah.
Today, it took him 3 hours from Belize City to Turniff on his boat Yodeli using small engines. Sometimes he's able to sail out and save money on fuel, but not today.
We take 1 day to load ice, gasoline, water, everything, right? And food, like groceries. And then we come out from Belize. If we can, we make it the same day to come and reach Turniff. From Belize to right here, the most is 3 hours. It was blowing hard. And then we have to use only engine because we are coming against the waves and against the wind. But for the sail, for example, the sail, it helps us a lot, yes, for own gasoline. If it's calm, yes, it is an engine that we're going to use. And we are burning more gasoline, We used to spend less time when the product was there. Because like 5-6 days, you don't have the trip. But right now, of course, we have to spend 10-12 days to make a trip. Because, because it's less catch, so more days we have to spend.
Since arriving earlier today from Belize City, he has decided to throw anchor and try his luck at Tarpon Creek, a prominent feature of the 37-mile-long Turneff Atoll. The process of diving for conch used by northern fisherfolk like Marcio and Geronimo is a bit different from the method used by Norman Strings Castillo out of Hopkins. The sailboat drops off each worker with his dory, one after the other at a different location, usually in a straight line.
Sometimes we left one crowd here, and like I am the captain, I carry the boat more ahead. And when this person that I left here, when he reached to the boat, they carry the boat more ahead. That's how we work it like this. Yes, I am that like a captain. Have to, because I can't depend only from the fishermen. Like I tell you, if I consider the crowd, what happens if the crowd and only met. If you want to work for the whole day, you could do it, but sometimes you have to get in the water from 8 or 9, and then you come out 4 o'clock. But you are going to have no lunch. It depends from you, but if you wanted to have lunch, then you have to come back about the same hour that we usually take lunch, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. So some guys then do it, because sometimes a day that they don't catch nothing, you say, wow, if I go in that boat to take lunch, the hours is going, and I'm not going to catch nothing for this day. Then they dive it from 9 to 4 o'clock.
The diver ties himself to his dory with a long rope to make sure that, as he dives, his dory will not drift away beyond his reach. The workers scout for conch, dive and collect the product, and bring it back to the boat. They repeat the process over and over as they slowly make their way back to the sailboat.
Sometimes you could find one piece, one area of the conch that you could find so much conch here. Maybe you could see one piece. It's not big, but you could find one 50, 60 conchs together. It's not far from the other one, but you could find that area. Sometimes when you meet that piece, well, you could say you could do something because you could get 60 conchs from just one piece of area. But sometimes you have to dive, and just to find 1, 2, 3. No, it depends. No, how you could find it. It's more people right now. It's like I tell you for the first time, every year the count is, the production is getting scarce, and we see the crowd is getting bigger and bigger. I don't know how we are going to see this open season of pounds. I don't know.
On one of the dives, one of Captain Marcio's men located an area of seabed covered with seaweed. Seaweed is becoming harder to find in the wild. The men dive as much of the seaweed as they can, then put them out to dry in the hot sun, right there on the deck of the sailboat.
When we find it, we take it out, we wash it with good water, fresh water then, and then we rinse it and put it to dry. After we're waiting a little more, like as it's drying, it's going down, yes, and it's going to go more down, maybe staying like about 1.5 bag.
The diver spends countless hours alone in the sea, picking up conch, lobster, or spearing an occasional fish. Slowly he fills his dory with marine products that he will eventually take back to the sailboat. At the end of the day, the men will have supper and then stretch out somewhere on the deck or in the bow of the boat and sleep through the night. A look inside the boat shows just how compact the living conditions are. The trip may sometimes have over 10 men aboard. On this particular trip, having only 4 men in this one boat has its advantages and disadvantages.
4 guys, 4 fishermen right now, it's good because no rush. Everybody like sleep good. We sleep 2 right here, back of the boat, and 2 in the front of the boat. This is like we're like a room too because we sleep right here. We cook right here, like you see the stove. We got the tank right there. And then we don't have bleach pump. We use hand bill. Yeah. And this is the ice box.
Okay.
We are put it for right now. Well, I don't have no product for else. I'm going to open it.
Sailboats like the Yodeli fish the waters of Belize from the northern part of Turnef, including Half Moon Key, to the southern ends of the atoll, and even much farther down to Glover's Reef Atoll.
I think part of the problem is like too much fisherman. And one of the main problem, I think, there are too much fishermen catching on the size of illegal product to catch Belize and sell. That can be the problem that is happening. That's why this workshop that BFF is carrying all over Belize, like different associations, it's going to help a lot the fishermen because they are going to educate the fishermen how to work sustainable fishing. Yeah, but yes, it's becoming less every time.
The pressures of reduction in fish stock, coupled with the increased number of fishermen with licenses, is causing the traditional fisherfolk to stay out longer, go farther, and yet bring back a smaller catch. Sometimes they're so far south that it makes sense that rather than sail up to Belize City to deliver their products, they deliver them to the branch in Mango Creek. And when the season is rough like this one, instead of heading back home, they simply refuel, restock their food supply, purchase more ice, and head back out to sea for another 8 to 10 days. Even though Mango Creek Village is known for its role in the banana industry, the village also boasts a vibrant fishing community. Many people depend on the nearby lagoon and the open sea for their livelihood. Entire families have also migrated from the fishing village of Monkey River to take up residence in Mango Creek, even as they continue their fishing tradition. 33-year-old Evaristo Muscham fishes out of Mango Creek, though he too is originally from Monkey River. He has been fishing the southern waters for over 16 years. His specialty is free diving for lobster and conch, and he says he's making a good living from it, doing what he loves.
Fishing is what I love now. I just love being in the water, doing my own thing, not have nobody commanding over me, no boss or nothing. No?
As with many other fisher folk, Evaristo fishes according to the seasons stipulated by law. Today is the last day of the lobster season, and Evaristo is preparing to go out to sea and take one last look at his lobster shades. At roughly 7 a.m. in the morning, he grabs his tools, places them in a bucket, gets on his bike, and rides down to the area Independence villagers fondly call Watside. His boat is docked near the Fisherman's Cooperative, but today his dad will take him out in his boat, which during tourism season doubles as a tour boat. The boat is a bit more comfortable because it comes with a canopy to protect passengers from the sun. Evaristo and his father head out through the Mango Creek Lagoon and cross over to Placencia, docking at the local gas station where they fill up with the fuel they will need for the day. Unlike the fisher folk we have met previously, Evaristo never spends the night out at sea. He goes out and returns the same day. Fishing for lobster involves several steps, which include creating lobster shades on land.
We bend it, we bend them out, down, then we just bore some hole in them, and we normally want to leave it just like about a hand fish so that like near shark and so don't go into it. And from there we take them out and set them to catch lobster. You could catch like up to like 20-25 lobster out of a drum like this. These last about 3 years in the water. We normally left them like for like 3 weeks or so forth before you check them again, just on a rotational basis. Most of them are hunting like for shade. We normally set these on like grass bed, and this is where the lobster come to feed on.
Shades vary from drums to old car hoods. The best and most environmentally friendly ones are those made from concrete. Before the season opens, the shades are taken out on the boat and placed at various locations where lobsters are known to congregate. Unlike lobster traps that are indiscriminate to lobster size, shades are more sustainable because lobsters are free to enter and exit them regardless of their maturity. A few of them still use the old method of using landmarkers to guide them to the general area, but not the muschamps. They have their GPS ready, and once they are in the general vicinity, about a mile south of the tip of the Placenta Peninsula, they begin their search for lobster shades using GPS.
Shade is like an artificial home for the lobster, something that we build on land, take out to sea, then when we drop it into the water, we take our waypoint with our GPS, so we can go and find it back anytime with ease, no problem. No. Back in the days, like most earlier fishermen, before GPS, we used to use like landmark. We used to use our mountains over like village, certain clumps over trees. So, but with the GPS, it's now much easier for a fisherman. Even when it's raining, it's cloudy, you can find them much easier, even when the water is murky.
When they come up to the first location identified by the GPS, Evaristo dons his gear, picks up his hook stick, and heads into the water. While the GPS pinpoints a spot within a few feet, the boat is drifting slowly in the current, so Evaristo still needs to do a little hunting to find the lobster shade down below. When he finds it, he goes down to see how many lobsters, if any, are under the shade. Sometimes he finds several large ones. Other times they may be too small. Sometimes no lobster is under the shade. The boat moves from shade to shade, repeating the process over and over. As time progresses, the boat begins to fill up with lobster. Sometimes there may be rocks in the area, so Evaristo looks in the cracks and crevices to see if lobsters are hiding in there too. When he finds them and they appear to meet the size requirements, he hooks them and brings them up, then places them into the boat.
For me, it's kind of easy, but like for people who just getting into it, it's kind of difficult, because they blend in within the environment very easily, Sometimes they're like camouflage up, it's hard to see them. Sometimes they're waiting underneath rocks. You got to get down and look good. The mass it actually look bigger than it is. So most of the time I hook like my lobster in the tail, so when I come up and I see them, like if they're small, I could throw them back. When you hook like lobster in the head, normally they die. It's hard not for a fisherman not to catch an undersized lobster. But some people catch in excess, because like when you're diving shade, sometimes you find your shade like full with lobster, you just try to take them out, some of them flying back and you're hooked, and they get hooked between their head and their chest, and they will die, so you just put them aboard.
From time to time, he has the opportunity to spear a fish. Interestingly, one of the areas that is very productive for lobster fishing is Harvest Key. This key was recently purchased by a Norwegian cruise line, and currently a lot of dredging and infrastructure work is being done on the island. As he dives the rocks nearby, the shoreline of Harvest Key is very visible. The proximity dictates that there will be an impact on these diving spots when tourists begin to make very regular trips to the area. But to what extent is yet to be determined.
I plan to save now. I put a little bit aside for the future now. If I can't dive anymore, I could switch out into the tourism industry, because you have a lot of tourism opportunity coming down in the south now with the NCL and so forth. So tourism is my next option after I can't fishing anymore.
At the end of the day, and after visiting many different spots where his lobster shades were located, Evaristo points his boat towards the coast and heads back to Mango Creek. When he arrives back at the dock, the fisheries officials are waiting to inspect his catch. Evaristo cleans his catch by detaching the head and cephalothorax from the tail. The tail is what the cooperatives are interested in for the export market. But locally, even the lobster heads have enough meat to make a good soup. Export markets are changing, by the way, and the Chinese market, for example, is paying top dollar for live and whole lobster, something the Belizean fishermen or their respective cooperatives have not yet made adjustments to capitalize on. Evaristo carries his catch over to the cooperative branch in Mango Creek located right near the dock. The lobsters are weighed individually, and in Evaristo's case, in the presence of the fisheries officers, to see if they come up to size. His ratio is above the acceptable norm, and the paperwork is then completed. Even the jewfish that was spared and brought back already has a buyer. Evaristo scrapes and cleans the fish right there at the lagoon side and then hands it over to one satisfied customer.
I don't see that I love to buy fish and I love to see fresh fish. So that's the tradition. Keep it fresh. Can't go wrong.
Back at Turnef, Dale Fairweather and his crew of 2 are ready to fish for the day. Because the lobster season is closed and the conch season looks a bit bleaky, he has been concentrating on deep sea fishing.
And what we do, we would steam out on the blue, and I would have my fish finder on, and whenever I see a patch or a bank, I would mark it with my GPS and write it down in a book so that I don't lose it if my GPS go bad. And then we would, hold up with the hinges and drop our line right on the fish. We're fishing in deep water, so if you drop your lines too close to each other, they will get tangled. So what we do, you would drop the primary line first, the first line, and then you would steam a little forward so that you can have distance between the 2 lines, and then you would drop the other line.
Yes, Dale has 2 sets of reels on his boat, but on each of those 2 lines, there are 5 hooks for a total of 10 hooks in the water at any given time. The men bait the 5 hooks and get ready for the signal to drop the line.
The purpose of having multiple hooks is to catch more than one fish on one drop, because when you're dropping like in deep water, like maybe say 600-700 feet of water, it takes time for this line to reach the bottom and it takes time to come up. So if you can catch 2-3 fish instead of 1 fish, you can get more every time you drop. Plus, if you meet a big school of fish, they bite a lot, so you catch more.
When the fish finder starts beeping, the captain stops the boat and gives the signal for the workmen to release the lines. They fish at one spot for some time, and then they move to another. When fishing at Turnef is slow, Dale goes all the way out into the blues around Lighthouse Reef.
time is money. So you would try and move to the next spot that they would bite. But if sometimes they're not biting at one spot, you don't waste time and try and wait to see if they're biting. You just move to the next spot, and then if they don't bite there, you move to another spot, and you keep doing that until you find a spot where the fish are biting.
Getting a line tangled or stuck in a shallow water is bad enough, but getting it stuck in 600 to 800 feet of water takes much skill to clear the lines.
When you're fishing in current, your line tends to get tangled in the rocks. And if your line gets tangled in the rock, if the current is running from from a southerly direction to the north, then you have to steam in the opposite direction to clear the line out the rocks. If you lose them, you lose a lot of money like that. It depends, if you have like 10 hooks, it's like $1 per hook. The swivels are like $3 each. And plus you have to buy the steel to make the sinker and that sort of stuff.
The rough and temperamental environment that fisherfolk have to deal with has helped to galvanize lasting friendships and camaraderie between them. They share bait, equipment, water, and even their food.
Basically, amongst fishermen, we developed a relationship because we have been fishing the same area for a long time, and we get to know each other. And it's like an unwritten rule that's what we do, we share. I go to any camp in Turniff, and if I need a place to sleep, you could stay there. If they cook, we share the food, and that's the way we do it.
If a fisherman finds himself too far away from his own camp at the end of a work day, any port in a storm holds true.
You just fit it just like a fisherman. I mean, when you go to a camp, once you have a spot to sleep, that's where you just take it and you sleep. You understand me? I mean, some of the guys, they say that sometimes the camp is so crowded that there are guys sleeping under the beds and all of that. You know, sometimes there's like 18 guys sleeping in that camp.
They work day and night on the sea. Fishing at night comes naturally if a fisherman wants a lucrative catch at the end of the trip.
Most of the time, when we fish at night, we try to fish at night when we just come out. You fish a day and night so that you can try and build up your catch. But a lot of times, if the weather is not quite good, then you would not fish at night because it's more punishing, it's rough. You gotta stay up there all night, right? But basically, we fish at night to try and supplement the day fishing. So you get a little bit at night, you get some in the day, and it makes your catch better if you can fish day and night.
The men fish and clean their produce and package when they get the chance. Whatever it takes, the work must be done. Fishermen work, eat, sleep, recreate, and everything in between on their boats.
Well, for me, that's my little island. I cook, eat, bathe, fish, and rest aboard. Right? Everything, that's my little island. And when this is destroyed, then it's like taking out half of me. That's my life and my wife. Comfort me, pay off my bills. So my little boat is my floating island.
Meet Fidel Ordinet. He lives in Punta Gorda town and has been fishing over 30 years in the southernmost waters of Belize. Without a doubt, he is an expert on the Belize fishing scene. He can give a SWOT analysis in a heartbeat. As he cooks a mean plate of seafood, he explains how he became a fisherman.
Well, I started off from my father. I left from boat to school at age 3. My father had a smack, live fish. There where I started the fishing. Even though I go to school, I still got my fishing line. I left school and my hobby there. Fishing, no football, no basketball, no baseball, no kind of games. I catch on 10, 15, 20 dollars of fish. I go buy the little provision I need at my young age. I always have food. When things is good, well then I could pay off all my bills, and when things bad, well then I wait my next trip.
Research shows that Belize's southern waters are teeming with fish. Fidel goes out on a weekly basis to fish in the Port of Honduras Marine Reserve.
Nighttime, put all my fishing gears together and my food. If I have a tortilla, if I need need and bake in the night or need and bake early in the morning. Then I put my things on a four-wheel cart I make myself, tow it behind my bicycle, bring it down to the beach, get in the water, then go to my boat, bring it in, put my gears aboard, then stop to the gas station, fill my gasoline, then carry on from here to the Rio Grande Point, from Cape Landing to Rio Grande, which we catch or fry, sprat, wege, mullet, shrimp, that are we normal bait. We catch maybe 15, 20 pounds of mullet and 4, 5, 6 pounds mixed with shrimp and sprat. Then I go out. Then I spend my first day fishing and I sleep at night. For nighttime I do a little nighttime fishing. If the tide is good and the fish are biting, well then I fish, and if not, well then I take a rest. Then prepare for the morning, depends on the hour.
Trying to create synergy between environmental NGOs' demands and survival has been a hard pill for Ordinate. He's wary of their promises.
I was one of the man who helped run a petition wrong tongue against gill nets, and I cut my own throat. From since then, never left me with one stipend, he never left me with one salary or nothing. All he did, I think he did kind of good, but he did so bad. He bought me one outboard engine for $800. It was 7 hand. It's still outside there like a white elephant, I should say. We can't find the parts. Lasted 2 months and it stopped work. I took 5 fishing course, gas certificate, but then we don't have the finance to buy the equipment. But that's all we get, no support. So I couldn't continue to fly fishing. I think I still have my promises was made in those days and never fulfilled. Fishermen, PG fishermen partially phased out all the elders who supposed to benefit of this.
According to Fidel, fisher folk need to be given more than token promises and incomplete or underfunded projects. They need a stable way of life.
Fishermen need some assistance, but not take away all the assistance from us. And gill net should have a season. You have a bank account and you saving and I am withdrawing. Snooks are migratory. They come, we grow them here, they reserve, and in a certain period of time they travel across Honduras, Livingston, Vargas. They have a migratory season. Yes, we give up PHMR, we give up the rights of buying the gill net. Well, it's about 11 years now since the reserve is there and the snooks are getting overpopulated. And our neighboring country are withdrawing our account. And this is one procedure only costs right now. It costs in a cast net. See this 8-pound snook pass through this hole and then a one.
30% of Belize's gross domestic product is directly linked to commercial activities within the coastal zone, with over $40 million being contributed annually to the national economy. But across the country, fisherfolk have mixed feelings about the future of the industry. Many issues such as climate change, depleting fish stocks, increased number of fishing licenses, archaic cooperative structures, and more are weighing heavily on the future of the industry.
From the time I was fishing, the fishing business was good. But now, the fishing business is going down. It's not like first. Everything is slowing down. I don't know. It's mostly the global warning where the weather is changing. I don't know if that is chasing the fish. Because right now, the fishing business is not good like when I was starting.
Some may be beyond control, but fisherfolk say there are things government and other bodies can do to ensure their livelihood remains strong.
The prices of outboard engine, the price of boats for this country, they need to see how best they can see that to be minimal for the fishermen to continue on their livelihood. They do consult, but there's nothing coming for the fishermen. Only the NGOs do supply some alternative living for some fishermen, maybe some pig rearing, Maybe they send some, maybe help with some children going to school. But on the government side, they rarely accept the consultation. They keep on consult, but nothing comes out of the consultation most of the time.
Most fishermen believe that a good place to start would be concessions on fuel.
Gas are the most expensivest thing, and I feel like if most of them fishermen would have an opportunity by spending less on fuel, it would have good. Because sometimes you go out there and not even gas bill you're clear. Just imagine you go out there and then work out and then catch the amount of product and you come in and you hold that gas. They'll go again at that double bill they talk about, right? And then some man pay $300 in a loan just fuel, and that beside the food, that beside hook, then sometimes you need line, you need all of the equipment. So I think if fishermen would have get opportunity on the fuel, it would have much better for them.
In the southern waters, the issue is illegal fishing from Guatemala and Honduras. The open seasons are different, so are the size restrictions and the fishing ethic. Fisher folks say there appears to be a lack of political will to control poaching.
What happened, a lot of our product is going across our borders both day and night illegally. They come anytime, the guys don't afraid, they come in all kind of weather. Right now, this weather here, you see we here sitting, relaxing, talking. They're out there doing their thing now, just catching, reaping, taking back home to Guatemala. Well, you have some who get nationalized, so they get their license, so they live within community. When the weather bad and they are not catching amount of product, they still go out there, they do their smuggling, catch the amount, take back to Guatemala and come back. Because in Guatemala, they don't have size restriction, just any size goes. For most of them, when they work back home, they make like 35 quetzal. When they hear 1 pound of lobster, give them far way more than that. So I don't think they will stop, I guess we just have to tighten up on our border patrol and be more vigilant.
There are many regulations for fishermen to observe, but monitoring and enforcement lag way behind. There is the need for more patrols.
The fisheries department, they have always been complaining that the government is not giving them adequate fuel and stuff to patrol. They don't have the money to do these patrols, so you very seldom see the fisheries out at sea.
They are more vigilant now, they are out there doing more things, but we still need more now. But most of the time, when you talk to them, they have cry it's insufficient fund for they out there both day and night. They don't have enough manpower, I think they need more workforce.
We're trying to protect Turnef, but we only have 1 ranger boat right now, and we're supposed to have at least 3 that would patrol the island. But right now there's 1 boat to patrol an island which is 36 miles in length, 9 miles wide. So what a lot of the fisher guys they do is they wait and they see the patrol pass, and when the patrol pass, they know it's not coming back this way, and then they do what they want to do.
One complaint heard quite frequently is that there are more and more fishermen every year, while there appears to be less fish and marine products. Geronimo from Copperbank says his 15-year-old son loves fishing, but he would discourage his son from doing it as a career.
I'm not like he used to be one fisherman, because right now the fisheries industry is coming, every year is coming worse, and production is getting scarce. The area where we're going is Half Monkey, and the area is too small, and every year we get more fishermen, and fishermen is growing, too much crowd.
There's too much fishermen now. There are too much fishermen. I believe to myself that they are granting too much license for too much fishermen, and I advise or would say that they need to stay at a minimum.
The conch especially is under heavy stress.
The conch is primarily very, very bad right now. The last couple of years, the fishery had give out an extra quota, and I think that has been affecting these last 2 seasons, because they fish too much in 1 year, and then the years after, there's not enough because the closed season is too short a period for the conchs to mature and rebound. Right now, there's only a lot of baby conchs out at the sea, but very few big ones.
Most fishers are members of one of the several fishing cooperatives in Belize. Cooperatives have focused exclusively on lobster and conch, and only one Rainforest, with its parent company in Jamaica, focuses on exportation of finfish. Belizean fisherfolk have become wary of cooperatives and believe that corps can do so much more. They should be building the capacity of fishermen and creating more benefit packages. Cooperatives should do more to create new markets, introduce new trends, and identify new marine products.
I could recall when lobster was like $25 a pound when you're getting at the Coop. Right now it's down to 15 right this year. It just went back up to $1. Last year it was 14. This year it went up to $15 a pound. So that is a big drop for fishermen. Well, I think it dropped due to the like the people where they run the Coop, you know, like the higher official. You know, you have higher official borrowing like 200,000, 100,000, you know, and from there the Coop just keep on going down.
We need that the cooperative would start supporting sustainable fishing. It's not just, you know, I mean, Fisherman is crying out for it, but the cooperative that are being supported by the fishermen, I mean, I think they should start to support sustainable fishing, because if we continue fishing as the way we know it in Belize, things will, you know, get bad. It will get bad.
If Belize can create a vibrant industry that is stable and sustainable, many of these people will be able to find lasting employment, entrepreneurial opportunities, or research-based careers in the fishing industry. Already, there are many people who, though they are not fisherfolk themselves, their livelihood is hinged on the success of the sector. Beside the fish wholesalers at Conchal Bay and other markets across the country who buy and sell fish products, there are the fish scrapers. Odessa Orozco is one such person.
Real majority of the time when they come in at like 3 o'clock, then out start get crowded. The boat then start coming, then I see the customers and they come in like one by one and they come and purchase the fish then. We have for we neighbors around here, then they pass stand by for when the fish boat come in, then build a little table and they put it on the side, and when the customers start coming in, the girls then they want to approach the customers when they went to the boat and ask them, well, would you like your fish to scrape? And then the customers, the buyers they come and give the girls then the fish and they scrape it good, kitchen clean. When then girls scrape fish and the people they ask so much to scrape it, sun charge, 75 cents a pound, sun charge $1 a pound, you know. Yeah, they see which part we need it to, I think, right? I have my neighbor, she a Christian, she come out, cook and sell food for like 10:30. The fisherman they come and buy the food for she. Yeah, she sells for $3.50 up. Nice food, nice food.
Across the country, many small business entrepreneurs buy fresh marine product directly from the fishermen and convert it to affordable Belizean delicacy that they sell to subsidize their own incomes. In Hopkins, Christy Miranda is one such vendor.
Well, we have it like 15 years now. We sell panades, garnaches, tostados, sometimes Garifuna food, sometimes local food. Most of our food we cook on fire hearts. We prefer that rather than the stove. And they're all freshly made. Sometimes we grind our own masa. And our panades is mostly fish panades. It's reasonable because my dad is also a fisherman, and my neighbors, mainly my families, and my brother also is a fisherman, so fish is not a problem for us to get. We're under renovation right now, so we're just picking up a little by little. I work as a receptionist and sometimes I do part-time job, so for the meanwhile I try to fit in when I'm on day off or when I work morning shifts.
The beautiful sailboats you see used by northern fishermen are all built by local shipbuilders. Both Carlos and Trevor have been shipbuilders out of Sarteneja. Trevor is currently working on his second 30-foot sailboat in the last 6 months.
31 feet length overall, feet keel, 5 feet beam, 9.5.
I don't know, 5 or 6 months.
About 6 months. Are those 10 boats that you build still working, or?
Yes, some are here, some in Belize, so then sell it and some next time
captain next on.
Robert Castro is from Punta Gorda town. He is a retired traditional fisherman who now spends his days looking out at the sea. Things are different now, he says, very different.
Well, in my days, we didn't have we didn't have these laws that are coming on right now. We were free to go to the sea. That's how the Bible made it understood. He made it understand in Genesis that you may have in subjection all the fishes of the sea. He didn't tell us that we were having a man who going to give us how to fishing, when to fishing, what fish to eat, and what not to eat. In my days, you can pull the dory and you just go, a group of us. We didn't know license. It was a rule by the older people, and we used to keep that rule. What is good for eat is what we bring in, and what is not good for eat, well, we don't touch that, But now, the way I'm looking at things now is quite different, because America comes giving his law, Belizean receive the law, and they hand it on to the Belizean, and then there is where we have the problem. The fishing understanding today, brother, is more to the foreigner than the one that own their own land, where the fishes are. My dear brother, I used to have my dory right over there, and my wife would be waiting for me right there. And whenever I came with my fish, all I do, take out the guts, and I just go and deliver them. You know what I mean? So if I have my wife, I have my child, I have everybody waiting for me right there. So you must know I used to live quite nice, quite cool and collected, because the fish just used to give me the understanding, because we were free. But after the law came, you know what I mean, brother? So I don't have $25 at the same time when they want it. Sometimes my brother says, well, Bob, let's go there. But then if you don't have a license, it's very difficult for you to go out there. Because when the fishery comes, they will see my brother, he has a license. Maybe I don't have any, but they were going to force him that I'm supposed to have a license before I be in the boat. They don't give us the freedom as Belizean to be fishermen as they give the freedom to the Guatemaltecans as fishermen. And whatsoever they call for the fish, they pay it, but whatsoever we call for fish is a different thing. So for me not to get into the claw, I stay out.
Fishing alone is not meeting the global demand for seafood. This is where alternative livelihoods can put more money in the pockets of fisherfolk. In Placencia, several organizations are pooling their efforts to capitalize on the commercial farming of seaweed. There is also talk of farming sea cucumber, a marine product that can fetch a pretty penny, especially in Asian markets. Carlos Cruz is a retired fisherman working with the Sarteneja Tilapia Farmers Association as its chairman to help create an alternative livelihood for fishermen in his community.
We had 6 tanks and feed and training funded by the EU. Second project was the pond funded by JICA, 1 portable generator, a gas engine, a water pump. Third project was this grant given to us by SICA. They gave us 30 solar panels, 1 inverter, 32 batteries, and 2 regulators, and the next control change that we had at first. We're going to jump into some farming and then continue the expansion of the plastic tanks to have a rotating system on selling time. Our target is 24. So we have a rotation system of 2 tanks per month. This one on my left is for farming. This one on my right is for a fish farm. Due to that, we have a sinkhole on our edge there, and it provides water to the pond. We don't have to do no oxygen pumping into the pond. The wastewater just go low as how the sea, its own tide move up and down.
To help create an opportunity for the voices of fishermen to be heard on relevant issues, as well as to capitalize on alternative livelihood opportunities, the Belize Federation of Fishers was formed in 2011 and incorporated on April 30th, 2013. Nigel Martinez is the director for BFF.
The organization was formed back in 2011, primarily because the fishers felt at that time that decisions made by the regulating bodies and managers, co-managers, did not have their best interests in heart. So there was a need for the fishers to be united so that they can sit at the table and speak one voice. It was an organization formed by commercial fishers for commercial fishers. the structure that the Federation have in place is for each fishing community to have a representative on our executive management committee. This committee meets once every 2 months, basically to oversee and listen and ensure that we advocate on the rights of the fishers.
The BFF is bringing national attention to the many challenges fishermen face.
We are met with these challenges primarily because there are lack of effective collaboration between managers. We won't obtain a sustainable fishing industry if there is no collaboration. We all have a stake in this industry, and without collaboration, there will never be a sustainable fishing industry. There was an increased number of fishers, and this came about primarily from political interference.
The continued success of the Federation in educating its members can only be sustained if proper financial and technical support can be secured for the long term.
The Belize Federation of Fishers need continuous financial support. Support which has been limited. Support which has been a struggle for a federation that is advocating for commercial fishers across the country. Without this financing, our members won't have the incentive to want to participate in the best practices of harvesting our products. They will not want to participate in trainings, workshops. There will be nothing for their benefit similar to what has been taking place for the last 30 to 40 years. It's very important that the continuous funding continue to come forward in order for us to maintain what we have done over the last 3 to 4 years.
The Federation has attracted a key stakeholder, the University of Belize. A dynamic and mutually beneficial relationship has since developed. Ceci Castillo, a UB lecturer in the National Resource Management Program, is an advisor to the BFF.
The University of Belize is working with the Belize Federation of Fishers in exchanging knowledge between our students and the fisher folks. Our students have the opportunity to meet with the fisher folks out in the marine environment, whereby they can apply the theory learned in the classroom. And at the same time, our students exchange their information or knowledge garnered in the classroom along with their skills with the fisher folks. So in that light, we have that type of information exchange occurring. We also would like to see more research being done collaboratively between the Belize Federation of Fishers and the University of Belize. We would like to foster trust within the fisher folks, simply because working along with them, I have realized that fishers do not have trust in researchers, and they would willingly engage in research with local researchers more than with foreign researchers. So the University of Belize will be looking forward to future research with them.
In conjunction with key stakeholders, several workshops and seminars have been held to increase the capacity of the members of the Federation.
With the Belize Federation of Fishers, the university has executed several trainings. One has been done in financial management for the fisher folks. It assisted them to do their cost benefit analysis when it comes to their selling of their products. We have also been engaged in the conflict in organizational management training, whereby fishers were taught about conflict resolution. The third training that we have engaged in is one in natural resource management, whereby we increased awareness about the importance of our marine and coastal resources to fisher folks, as well as looked at alternative livelihood for fisher folks. The Placencia Cooperative members came to the different training sessions to share their learned experience from executing seaweed farming down in Placencia.
The fishermen say that they are learning a lot from these seminars that have been held in their own zones.
Well, I have attended 3 seminars under the BFF. Matter of fact, every workshop we attended, we bring it back to our association here, and we try to implement everything that we learn from BFF.
Look, like when I first used to go at Key, I just, you just spend money out of your pocket. You don't keep accounts and that sort of thing. And that's what the seminars are helping to do, to keep account of what you're doing and stuff like that. And to also know exactly what's happening, like climate change and that sort of thing.
When you are in business, we should just look straight on what we are doing, not just trying to get to our fish. Nothing wrong to give fish, but you have to watch that you don't give beyond that. When you see your business is going down, instead it's go up. So what we do, we try to see how we can get some to give, and the rest is to sell so that we can make money for our family.
Today's Belizean fisherfolk contribute significantly to 2 of Belize's main economic pillars, that of fisheries and tourism. These are the people that provide the coveted seafood to tourists visiting our country Belize, while simultaneously contributing to 2.5% of the country's GDP in fisheries alone. There is much happening in the fishing sector as old habits make way for new techniques, and as fisherfolk combine traditional knowledge with new research and best practices. There is much at risk, but there is also much to gain as fisherfolk work together to ensure that they have a voice and a seat at the decision-making table, advocating for policies that will be beneficial for all stakeholders in this industry. The Belize Federation of Fishers continues to lobby, educate, and build capacity of the fishers, and so Belizeans can be assured that there will be a steady supply of marine products in the seas and on our plates for years to come.